by NBK, who gets the second kill of the round. And we're all tied at 14 apiece.
14-14.
Going into the last 2 rounds of this match.
Tie
assuming
game.
no overtime.
And assuming no overtime, we're in the last 2. VeryGames pulled it back from a 14-12, and the confidence must be flowing once more. They've got momentum at just the right time in this game. And we'll see whether they can follow it through to set up a match point.
Sir Scoots looks worried.
He hasn't seen moments like this since the Cold War. And it'll be VeryGames who push down. They spy Complexity push up towards B, and that's where Complexity have had some success. To be fair, their cleanest entries have been in at A, and it'll be a frag for frag as Sean Garris, who's been very good, is out. Scream follows suit though, bomb collected by Sem. Fell just in the right place, and Sem could get himself a front frag there, does do so. Existence is out for the count. Sem trying to put that bomb down nice and quickly and force the agenda. Swag is there. They've got the bomb planted nice and forward. Smith comes in, and we're all balls to the walls now as it's all in. Smith pushes forward. Hiko gets himself the frag. It's Complexity that lead by a man and a bomb. As they go in now, it Shocks and NBK to try and hold on to this for VeryGames. They're all committed, and Shocks gets himself frag number 1 onto Hiko in his favorite position. And Shocks goes in. That's frag number 2. That's frag number 3. Can you believe it? Shocks is on fire, and it's all or nothing to save the day. He gets himself the first, but he's got no else to play with. And Shocks gets 4, but the bomb will blow. And Jordan Nothing has done a phenomenal job at the end there. We talk about individual plays. Shocks had it all with those 4 frags, but Nothing at the death just waited, and that 9 health point frag on the end was enough to save the day, and by the time needed to win the round.
This has really been a battle between Nothing and Shocks, hasn't it? Just a lot of back and forth between the two great players. A nice move here by Nothing to not peek instantly. That probably is the difference between Shocks getting that defuse or not. Just waiting that extra 1 second there.
I almost had an aneurysm myself there. 15-14. But it's not all over. This is a buy round for VeryGames with whatever they've got, and it's worked. Entry frag is coming. Sean Garris has been the first man down 2 rounds in a row for a Complexity side. And they push in. It's match point Complexity, in case you've forgotten. Sam gets himself the frag on the screen, but Complexity have taken a lot of damage. Swag's down to 3 points of health. Shocks forced back as we go into B once more, and we'll do the dance one more time as Complexity move in towards that site. Hiko's in there.
They need to get the bomb planted, but look at this. Swag and Nothing are running back to the A side. The bomb is actually going to be planted all the way in A. VeryGames are completely unaware of this even being a possibility. If they take longer to get the bomb planted, they might figure it out, but this is looking very good for Complexity.
Hiko gets out. This is phenomenal. And VeryGames don't actually know where the bomb's gone down. They're going to chase out the man in that site, and they've got no idea. Oh, Complexity, I take my hats off to you, sirs. Absolutely brilliant play from Complexity. A round of applause. The Americans have played so un-American. They have outsmarted
the world's best team.
And they are going to win. As they push in now, the bomb will blow, and NBK will go down with the shit. It's 16-14 to Complexity. And ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed the return to fame of Complexity in Counter-Strike.
What a great game.
What a great game.
It just keeps getting better. We had a bit of a slow start yesterday. Towards the end, we saw LGB take a map off, and NIP was getting better and better, and now we get this in the morning. It's just a great day of Counter-Strike coming up.
Absolutely incredible. Round of applause from the fans out the back as well.
And Sir Scoots.
And Sir Scoots. Scoots did much more than give a round of applause.
Yeah.
May well have popped a vein. But Lurpus, pick your highlight from that game.
Just the individual battles of Shocks against Nothing. That's the highlight for me. Both of them did so much for their teams. Nothing got so many entry kills. Shocks was more of a finisher. He cleaned up a lot of close rounds, especially in the first half. That was just great play. And something I'm very impressed about is Complexity just not losing it once it started looking bad. Once VeryGames clawed their way back into a 14-14 score, it started looking like maybe the game was starting to slip away from the Americans. But they still stuck to their guns. They got a couple nice entries into the B side, and just that last round was just an icing on the cake. What a smart move to go back to the A side.
What a smart move. They had 2 or 3 moments like that. 2 or 3 really clever plays that just gave them something. And you're right, they kept their heads. Calm heads under fire, very hard to do, and they had it. And they showed the experience that a player like Nothing has. So great play from Complexity. We are just about ready to throw it back to the studio here and analyze this one. And guys, analyze this to death, because that was brilliant. Over to you guys.
Welcome back to the DreamHack SteelSeries CSGO Championship. I'm BSL, still here with Sir Scoots and Thorin, and we just saw an upset. Complexity of America beating VeryGames 16-14. And I've seen a lot of Counter-Strike. That last round, that's either genius or it's really, 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 really dumb. And when it works, it's genius. How are you feeling right now, Scoots? You're probably the least objective guy on our panel, so take it away.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably hear me screaming on the stream during the match. Again, a prediction that I'm very happy to have called the wrong way, absolutely. I mean, Jordan played out of his mind when it counted, right?
That's Nothing.
Yeah, great stuff from both teams. I mean, that was back and forth the entire match. Just really good stuff. Great to see Complexity move forward off of a VG win. I mean, that's huge for the organization. And the team. Nothing but confidence for them. You were standing behind them throughout that match. How did they feel playing? What was the key element for them from where you were standing? Was the communication really on? Were they hitting their shots, or was everything meshing really well? I think a combination of both. I mean, when it was so back and forth that they never got far enough down on themselves to get in that kind of like, oh, that rut where they stopped talking. And in the rounds they did lose, they talked about why they lost. You know, we need to nade these guys. We need to flash these guys. You cannot get away with not throwing that stuff in VeryGames' face. And a couple really crazy rounds. The smokes that Jordan was jumping through, where they were using Molotovs to cut stuff off, just really, really, really well done. Thorin, you watched the match from our production area. What went wrong for VeryGames?
I mean, I have to say, VeryGames are a very good team. And they didn't, it's not like they played terribly, they just played a bit below par. And it looked to some degree like the Americans walked on water, you know. They got everything they could out of that game. Nothing was way above his normal level. He was playing way above the rim up here. VeryGames, their big problem was the stars didn't come. Shox, I mean, listen, at this point, we should all start hailing Shox. This guy's incredible. This guy is going to be like the Forrest O'Neal of CSGO, you know, because he's making his name in CSGO. He was really good. Yeah. He did everything he could do. But where was Scream? Where was MBK? If they'd have come with their firepower, you know, they have more guns, they have a better arsenal than the Cole guys. Whole different game, you're right. But since they didn't turn up, it was just 1 star versus 1 star, and Nothing was able to match him enough that it let the rest of his teammates beat out the guys from VeryGames who weren't playing very well. We saw 2 key mistakes there, and I think we'll have a clip of one of them soon. So the 2 key errors were on the last 2 rounds of the game. It was 14-14. VeryGames had just started to pull back. It looks like, okay, the CT side, VeryGames has done enough. They're just going to take it at the post here. They've got everything going for them. And I hope we're going to pull up a clip now while I'm talking, because on the 29th round, they got an entry. They retook the B site, okay. They got in there. They got the numbers in that advantage. All they had to do now was kill the last guy and then get to the bomb. Now, the last guy wasted just enough time that when he died, it wasn't enough time to defuse the bomb. And so they'd done everything they needed to win that round. A couple of seconds cost them. And on the last round, what you said there actually is the best way to describe it. It's either genius or it's very stupid. Because think about it this way. They had the full entry to the B site. If you do that, it's hard to get entries in the sites. You're supposed to plant in B, and then you're supposed to do what you normally do. You take your positions, they take their chances, and you see who comes out okay. If you go all the way back to A,
on rotation.
Oh, exactly. Say there's a guy actually hanging back in the spawn, and he just checks, and he kills you there. It's almost impossible for you now when you can't book it over to that side. So it was a huge risk, but it was very well calculated. Actually, what would happen is both teams, what was making it so close was, in the later part of the game, they both started to read each other very well. The reason why VeryGames got back in the game, they had a round, I think it was the 27th round, where it was a very slow walk into A from the Complexity guys. And what happened was, when you looked on the minimap, VeryGames had 4 there the entire time. They were never anyone in B. They knew it was going to be, and that's why when they rushed in, they just killed them all immediately. So they were thinking, okay, now we've got a good bead on them. Well, then vice versa. The others guys knew, okay, well, once we do that entry into B, they're going to be slow. They're going to wait for everyone to come. They're going to wait to see if we push. We're going to pick them off. Both teams abusing the way this setup is for the other team.
Yeah, we're going to keep talking about this match for a little while longer, but before that, we're going to go to the tournament floor for an interview with one of the players.
I don't know. All right, so there we go. All right, so yeah, so we're kind of just looking at a bunch of different things that were throughout the whole matchup there. But let's go ahead and I don't want to deflate what happened so far right out of the gates. Let's talk about the first few rounds. So breakdown first. You guys, I believe you won pistol, and then right after that, what happened?
Yeah, well, we actually used the same pistol that we used in our first match. I'm sure a lot of viewers saw that. We just knew that both matches were going on simultaneously, so we decided there's no way that they saw what we did. We got some early information in Banana. Jordan got a pick. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. We were able to hold it off from there. The very next round, I mean, we always are so worried about that because Americans are just notorious right now for losing ecos at these international lands. The Europeans practice these P250 buys, Deagle buys, more than anyone we've ever played in America. And honestly, people are constantly criticizing iBuy Power for losing them. We've lost them at ESWC and past ESEAs. It's not as easy as it looks, I promise you. Like, they're so fast and quick with their decisions. It ultimately came down to a 1v2 that round, and I kind of failed on him. So I'm glad I was able to step it up the next round and return the favor. But yeah, that's how it started.
So one of the things that we had seen before, though, as well, we saw that Shoxy came out to play, and I looked at it. I believe he had 19 kills. I mean, how did that go into your perspective of what you were going to do going into the second half?
It was unreal. We were looking at the scoreboard and we were adding up everyone's kills, and Shoxy was like had 3 times more kills than the other 4 guys combined, and it was brutal. It was pretty deflating because he would just enter sites, kill the first guy, hide somewhere, kill the retake. So really, he was just all over the place, dominating us. The other players, we didn't really notice the first half. They kind of came to play though for the second half. I felt like, yeah, he was an animal, that's for sure.
So looking at it, going into the second half, this is where things got interesting. You were on the terrorist side. As we saw, one of the things was really fun to watch. You said that you had a strat. It was the Universal Soldier strat. That was by the book, every single one of the flashes. Now, I have to ask this question. Was that just based on countering a team like VeryGames? Because from what I look like, they could have peaked you at any time with all of you guys.
Yeah, it's something that we've practiced a lot in the boot camp. I saw it in a demo. Maybe I saw it on a stream, actually, for a tournament that didn't have demos, so I knew not a lot of people knew about it. However, Universal Soldiers did it on VeryGames, and it actually destroyed NBK in the pit. He was actually on the balcony, I think, but he quickly adapted to it. So what I knew going into the match was it would probably work the first time. However, he would adapt going into it the next gun round. So we did it that first gun round. We tried to pull some fakes off of it the next gun round by going into the site instead of entering out the halls. Ultimately, that round didn't work. I think we didn't trade properly going into the site or something like that. So, yeah.
You ended up actually, you did pick up that round because there was a smoke that was right there on the balcony, hopped directly into the pit. There was also a fire that was right there. So it was a solid round as we look at it. But let's talk about the last round, because that right there was something above and beyond. We saw there, you guys were rushing into the B-bomb site. You had the B-bomb site. Now, what made you come up with this type of idea?
Okay, so going into the second last round, that's where it all started. I realized early in the half that the B players were ultimately saving their nades. They would play in the middle of the pool like that. I knew they would be there because that's really the only place you can get information while saving your nades. So I knew they were saving their smoke, saving their flashes. So what I opted to do was just do a complete dry walk in and catch that guy in pool and catch the spawn rotator right there. The very next round, I figured they'd probably be a little bit more ready for it. So what I asked Jordan to do was just to walk straight up mid, get first contact mid, and then we would just plow B the same way, just like a little bit of a tweak to it. What ended up happening was we took the site kind of in like probably like a 30-second span. We ended up kind of like sitting around for trading for a little bit too long. Brax had the bomb, and actually Brax made the call, should I go back to A? And it was brilliant because Jordan had mid control already, and I was just screaming, go back A with the bomb, Brax, go back A with the bomb, Brax. And I was telling Corey and Hiko, just do whatever you can to hold them off. Throw any nades you have, shoot into the smoke. And they did a really good job staying alive because VG was putting pressure and spamming the choke points a lot at B. So really they didn't allow VG to get any information about where the bomb was, and really all 4 of the guys just killed it that round. It was perfect.
That was just a pure execution. Hey, one of the things that I want to say to you directly is the fact I'm happy that you came back into it. I'm happy to see you here again. And the fact that you're over here at DreamHack Winter means a lot to me. So, Sean, congratulations on that matchup. I know that every one of you guys were hyped up throughout the entire map. I mean, it's great. One of the things that I mentioned, you had to have all of your players come out to play, and all 5 of them show that they can really prove themselves. So let's go ahead and send it back up to the studio. It's a great matchup through and throughout. Huge shout out to you. So we'll be right back to you guys.
Thank you, Complexity.
Now we're going to go to our big screen here to run through a highlight clip from that match.
So we're actually going to show the round I was talking about here. 29th round. Here we go. Shoxy, look, there's 4 people. Now we're down to a 2-on-3. So there's this guy here. This is the key bit here. Because look, he gets this kill early, so you think, oh my goodness, 2v2, they're going to get it now. Now it's a 2v1. Look at the health of him, 8 health. Two people, full health. He's dead. He's only got 8 health, but he can't know this, okay? Nothing wastes just enough time. If he'd have gone out first there, he probably would have, well, the same thing would happen. He would have died, they would have got the kill. He would have just diffused it. He doesn't, and that ends up providing the scenario. Here's the key thing. The reason why that was a key round wasn't that VeryGames couldn't have won the last round. They can keep showing it. I won't talk about it anymore, though. Stop the clip, please. And so the reason that was key was because Complexity was on map point, they then can't lose the game, okay? Yeah. So if they mess up that fake, and somehow VeryGames reads them, and either they kill the rotator or they just all go over, and then they've got a load of guys left over in this site that can't even help defend the bomb, then all that happens there is that it goes to OT. They're taking the risk. Listen, if they don't do that, though, we just win the game outright. And so that's why it was a clever. It's like in hockey, actually. If you're skating towards the goal and there's only 2 seconds left, if you miss, you can't lose anyway. You go to OT if it was like 0-0 or whatever. But if you score, then you win the game. So it's called having the puck on your stick.
Yeah, just to recap quickly here, after this round that we just saw on the clip, Complexity went to that same site, to the B site, with the score 15-14. They went there with 4 guys. They took the site, but the guy with the bomb, he went to the other side. And Scott, you had some points about that round too.
Yeah, and again, like Sean said, like they called it on the fly. You know, where should I go? And I think the key point is that they kept the fake going. The guys in B stayed alive long enough to keep VeryGames thinking that was the play, that's where the bomb was going to be. And again, just enough time, get the bomb down, and they couldn't make the rotation in time. But again, they don't do that unless they're already secured overtime, because again, you can't catch up on that rotation otherwise.
No, it's an extremely risky move, and like we talked about, it's either genius or it's very, very dumb. But when these games come down to the wire and the teams are this good, these are the kind of plays you have to make to break through that sort of deadlock. Don't you think, Thorin?
Well, if you're the underdog team especially, because that's the thing, okay? VeryGames had almost everyone alive, and the whole point is, the reason they didn't know the bomb was down is they played a very safe rotation. They got everyone, okay, wait till everyone's here, no one go in and die first. And the problem with that is because you're so sure 99% of the time they're in the site, you don't need the information control. You don't need to scout. You don't need a guy to go in and go, oh, they're there. You know everyone's in the site. So you're just going to prepare, and now we're going to go in as a unit. We're going to use team play. And so you actually use that against them because they never got in. Sometimes you send a guy in first to try and like get the surprise on them, and then at least you'd have heard, oh, there's no bomb here, and then you'd have gone the other one. So actually they read that they were correct in how VeryGames would assess it, and so VeryGames' own strength of team play of how they were going to retake the site worked against them this one time. Because again, they were expecting the standard play, and they're very good against the standard play.
Tell us a little bit about the way Shox was playing for VeryGames, because he came up huge. Yeah. Like you started talking a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit more about his performance and how that affected the match up until that final round.
Yeah, I mean, CSGO has been so much about get right and ninjas in pajamas, okay? It's all about get right, and always Forrest as good as him. And in the early days, we used to go, it was get right, Forrest. Oh, and it exists a top 5 player as well because they were winning everything. Now, okay, get right's still in the mix. Forrest still has some good games. Get right's still historically the best player ever. But actually, what's funny, when VeryGames got Scream, he seemed like he was the next star coming out. And he's now become a star, but Shoxy's come onto the team, become a star, and now I think he's even overtaken Scream. He's playing the best Counter-Strike Global Offensive in the world. Even in a game here, where the rest of his teammates couldn't show up, they couldn't deliver their best, he was still giving them everything he could. Listen, he was like nothing, okay? If they'd have lost that game, you wouldn't say, oh, well, nothing, you know, yeah, like 20-odd frags, but you didn't do your job. Like, it would have been the other people. So nothing on Shox that he lost that game. He was playing absolutely great CS, and I think as long as his level is high like that, the other guys will figure it out, and that's why VeryGames will still be a very good team going forwards. But the implications of this one result on the other group, this is huge for the tournament. You might see a North American team in the semifinals.
Scott, you've been following Nothing for a long time. You've seen his career develop from his breakout as a very young kid. I think he came into the scene, at the top-level American scene, at the age of 16 or 15. Can you talk us through his career a little bit and tie that into how he performed now, because he came up huge for his team?
Sure. You know, I'll start from today and go backwards. Like, Lurpus just tweeted, like, nice to see Jordan in his old form of 3-4 years ago, right? Again, he was a breakout kid, 15 years old.
It was the next big thing, huh?
Next big thing, you know, and like when Jordan is getting crazy good, CGS kind of happens and he's got nowhere to play, so he wanders around and ends up basically then being able to be EG and Alex Garfield's franchise player, and Alex literally built a team around him. And again, then CGS collapses, so Alex can grab other players, the frauds and all those guys, and bring it around. And again, he got to, at a very young age, he got to get over the nerves of LAN play and all the travel bullshit, all the crap that goes with having to do this game on the world stage. At a very early age, he got all those nerves, all that crap out of his system. So now he shows up a veteran at still a very young age.
How did he handle being in that team with Fraud and all those established North American stars, the champions of ESWC in 1.6? How did he handle having to face up to that kind of star power at that young age?
I think there was infighting at times, but there was also a great deal of mentoring camaraderie. Like they all knew Jordan's raw talent, but they needed to kind of shape his play, you know, because again, his early play was he was going to go wherever he wanted to go. He's very undisciplined, but he was successful in that. So when you're successful, you keep doing it, right? And you get to this stage and you just can't go free ball and you've got to be locked down. So I think the older guys kind of added structure to his skill set. And especially when we brought Tommy over and brought the European influence over, he really was able to settle them all down and say, this is how the world's playing this game. This is not how North America's playing. So again, as a big Jordan fan, you know, nice to see. And again, like, mortal enemies for Complexity for years, but really, really cool to see them do well. What I will say is, again, just like we said yesterday, don't start the parade yet. They won a match against arguably the top team in the world, but forget about it, because you're not done. Like, it just, your road is going to keep getting harder, and they need to focus, take the positives out of it. They made some mistakes, and gear up for the next matches for sure.
We have a Get Right of Counter-Strike, and now we have a Jordan of Counter-Strike as well, huh? What are the implications for VeryGames from losing this match? They have to play again now against Faculty, I believe. It's on Dust. How do they come back from this loss, and how do you think they're going to handle it? Like you've been saying, they are currently the best team in the world, coming off some great results. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Well, I mean, the last 3 tournaments, they've beaten NIP every time. Before that, they'd never beaten NIP. They beat NIP the last 3 series they played against them. They won EMS Fall. They won DreamHack Bucharest. No, they didn't. Let me think. I can't remember. They won 2 events, okay? And then they finished second at ESWC, but that was kind of an upset. And again, it's not like they were beaten by the best team in the world. So they're currently our #1s, okay? I don't think necessarily that this throws them off entirely, because they know, like, not everyone turned up. It's not like we played our best and then we got beaten and like, oh, no, what do we do now? It's more like it's an annoyance, because the frustration now is, okay, we're still the best team, even if, say, we have to play Astana in the round of 8. Okay, that's annoying. That's harder than we wanted. We wanted maybe to play them in the semis instead, or maybe play them in the final. But listen, we came to this tournament prepared to beat NIP, prepared to beat Astana. If we have to, we will. It's more like now they just have to reset. I don't think necessarily they have to change anything up much. The other players, it looked to me like they just came up cold, okay? They weren't ready for this match. Complexity was firing. They were ready. They were hyped. This was the match for them. And remember, it still could have gone VeryGames' way. They could have come with not everything and still squeaked the victory. So I think VeryGames, there's no panic there. You just go, okay, we'll get the next one, especially against a weaker opponent. We'll win that, and then we'll just go forwards.
We're going to gear up for that next match now with VeryGames facing off against Faculty, possibly facing elimination. And we should have the lineup here up on the big screen.
Yeah.